Welcome to the Beebodi Marketplace, where we treat, support, and invigorate our human bodies. Today we have a special guest. She goes by the name of Avalaura. She happens to be a celebrity life coach and intuitive consultant. Among many things, Ava is a black woman, and as we know, black women are the truth. And today, we're going to share with you the power that truth holds when you live it.
I'm like, okay.
We are just here to learn you, Ava. You asked me the question, what inspired me to reach out to you? As soon as I saw your picture without words, I was drawn to your light. And I knew that the healing that you offer is immaculate because you're a black woman. And anytime black women realize their gifts and actually use them, that is a force to be reckoned with. And we want to introduce that to the world and let them know that us sisters out here doing the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. And so you have a number of things going on even now.
Always.
What are you working on these days?
Well, this month actually, I just last week was the celebration, but my 15-year anniversary business. So that is this month. So that has been huge. And just, really, really blessed for that. To be 15 years in. My Soul Healers Mastermind is probably the big thing that I'm working on now, is really having a mastermind space for other healers, mental health professionals, social workers, service-based businesses who know they were born to heal, but they have no idea how to really run a business. And so providing a space for that, teaching that, also creating a community for that. So that's a big thing that I'm doing now. And then always doing my Reiki trainings, speakings, of course, my clients. But celebrating that 15 years and working on the mastermind, those are the two big things now.
Amazing. Congratulations on your 15 years.
Thank you.
Ongoing prosperity and success.
Thank you.
That is a blessing. Well, that's why you're here. I mean, the marketplace, we pull things from off of the shelf that that comes our way. So you have sort of entered into our as you say, oasis. I like that word that you chose for your business. It's an experience of wellness and health, and it's a journey, each so different from one to another. So let me ask you the question and do a little trivia. I know you'll get it right. What are the 5 kinds of health, Ava? Holistic.
5 kinds of health. Okay, so I'm gonna need clarity on that. And just for the record, Avalaura is Avalaura. Sorry, it's okay. There are a lot of Avas out there, but there's only one Avalaura.
There's only one Avalaura, and I've actually never heard that name before. You're from Houston, Texas. Are you there now?
No, I'm from Connecticut.
Oh, are you based out of Houston?
I'm based out of DC.
Right, you're in College Park, Maryland. I was so excited when I saw that. I said, well, what do you know? You've got this right here in your backyard. So clarity, the 5 kinds or sectors of health. So I think we're all pretty familiar with mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. What's the 5th?
I mean, that's what I would have said. I mean, the only other thing that I could probably think of is maybe more like metaphysical, but that would still fall in the spiritual realm. So yeah, that's all of what I would have said. I'm trying to think what you missed. Energetic is also, I would put that in the spiritual realm. So yeah, I'm gonna say I don't know, or maybe I know, but I don't know that I know.
You know that you know. It's financial health.
Oh, I didn't even see. I wouldn't even thought of financial. I mean, and it's true, but I would not have even thought of it because when you are so laser focused in what you do, so I would not have even thought of finances.
Well, you know what? The reason why I think we forget is because we put ourselves at such risk
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of money. And we don't even realize that
Mm.
it's affecting us in a way that the two connect. And they do very much so. And I think we're all realizing that with the pandemic, how our load of work or expectations and, complying with the government and paying bills and all of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
pull at us and
Mm-hmm.
and I think now that we are remote and isolated and in our space and with family and in the season of rest,
Yeah.
that we recognize it.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I think it's always been, well, not I think, I know it is. It's always been a driving force. And it's so interesting. A lot of, I work with a lot of people who do sort of like credit counseling, bankruptcy, different things like that, because one of the things they finally realize, much like a lot of the weight loss coaches that I work with, they realize that it's a mindset. And so while they focus more on the habits and the activities of, okay, this is how you save, this is what you do with your money, they recognize that until you really deal with the mindset and until you deal with the money stories and your, childhood experiences and how you grew up and how you view money, that it didn't matter how much they taught them if they didn't get to the root of what was going on in their mindset and in their thinking and their experiences so that they then could change their habits. So you're absolutely right. It absolutely is. It is a part of health, and it's very interesting. In my mastermind, so the first 3 months of my Soul Healers Mastermind is all about mindset, and a part of that is money mindset, because our money stories impact how we run a business. And so you're absolutely right. It's a part of it. I think that we don't commonly equate it to health. That's where it gets mucky. We know money is important. We know that people make a lot of decisions around money, that money affects us negatively or positively, right? Depending on how we look at it, depending on how we're spending it or how we're doing it. We know that money can absolutely, or lack thereof, can certainly cause depression and all sorts of emotional and mental illnesses and things like that, not having enough or that lack. But we don't think about how we can shift our perspective around money and our habits around money.
What would you suggest, Ava Laura?
In terms of that shifting,
Yes.
well, the first thing is, so one of the things that I do with my clients is look at their limiting beliefs. What happens is we don't understand, we don't even take time, most of us, to look at our belief system. And like you said, this is a period of rest. This was a forced stop, right? This was a beautiful, with all its highs and lows and so many losses and transitions and things that we had to go through. It's a beautiful moment of having to be still, right? Because when the pandemic first started, everything was canceled. Now things have opened back up, even though we're having some cancellations. Now things have opened back up, but everything stood still. And so you really had time to reflect and look at your own life and what's working and what's not working, and really be in with yourself and pay attention to yourself in a way that we don't normally do that because we're so distracted by everything that's going on. And so one of the things that, I recognize when I'm working with my clients as adults, we don't question a lot of the things that we learned over the years, right? We simply accept it. So whatever we were taught about something, we just accepted that's what it is. And when I first start working with somebody, the first thing that we have to start to look at is, what are your beliefs around this thing, right? because your beliefs shape and create your reality. And so if we're talking about money, what are your beliefs around money? What are your money stories? What are the experience that you've had? Did you grow up in a household where your parents, every time you asked for something and they told you, oh, we don't have enough money, right? Did you grow up in a household where you felt like you were always struggling, or the light bill was getting cut off, or the electricity was getting come off? Or did you grow up in a household where you always had enough? You always had more than enough, where you were quote unquote spoiled, right? And so you didn't have an appreciation for money because you always had it. And
Well,
so whatever that experience is important.
absolutely. I don't think we understood the sacrifice, Avalaura. When I look at my mom, she was a hero in my eyes. You just grow up seeing mom or dad or auntie, uncle, grandma just getting it done, just doing it. And they kept the spirit alive in us so that we wouldn't have to worry as children. But that didn't always prepare us for adulthood and coming into our own and fully
Absolutely.
understanding those sacrifices until we ourselves are put in it. And then now
Exactly.
self-reflect and begin to answer those questions that we now have, which we didn't realize before were always there.
Mhm.
Wisdom is inside. It's right
Mhm.
there waiting to be um, revealed to you. So I'm
Mhm.
curious, when you're working with clients through Reiki, what are some of the things that they say, um, or have shared with you about their transformation, in their healing process, how it
Mhm.
has created impact?
Yeah, so many things. I love Reiki. So I've actually been, so like I said, I've been in business 15 years. So I've been doing Reiki probably for the last 16 years, and I've been teaching Reiki for the past maybe 11, 12 years now. And that is one of the things that I love doing, is not just offering it, but introducing it to new students and new mental health practitioners. And, because a lot of practitioners now are looking at, they've been doing the traditional model of mental health, and I want to make it more holistic. And so they'll come to me to learn Reiki so they can add that to their practice. And I love that, because now I'm being able to touch more people, because I can't do Reiki for everybody. But if I can teach you, then now you can do Reiki for someone else. And so it's been a beautiful experience, one, in offering it to my clients, who it runs the gamut. And I have, if you see my website at avalaura.com, you see all the testimonials, and I've written a lot of blogs and things. But one of I think the commonalities is people feel very grounded. They feel very relaxed. I feel like I'm floating on a cloud. This feels like a spiritual massage. It feels like a really deep meditation. So for people who have problems relaxing and getting out of their head, it kind of forces you into a meditative space that feels really relaxing, really grounded, really focused. And so Reiki it can be addictive, particularly if you go to the right practitioner, because it gives you, again, that forced timeout period that most of us just don't take. It gives you that time to just be in your body and to just relax and to receive. And that's a beautiful thing. Most of us don't do that. And then for my students, it's really beautiful when we go through the attunement process and I'm teaching them about Reiki and they're practicing, and they see, like, wow, I have this healing in my hands. Like, I have the gift to be able to touch someone's life in this way, and it works. And I'm sensing and feeling their energy. And when we're talking and we're discussing, I'm telling them what I felt, and they felt it too. And so it's so affirming, one, their gifts, but it's very like, wow, this really works. And, and I can do this, and I can make an impact in this way. And so it's a very empowering thing as well.
Wow. Wow. And as a healer, when you are coming in contact with these energetic forces, how does it affect your body?
So one of the things that I am very cognizant and aware of, right, is teaching energetic self-care techniques. So in Reiki 1, that's a huge part of Reiki 1, is teaching self-care and energetic techniques to protect your own energy. Everybody needs this. It's not just when you're doing energy healing, but it's not something that's commonly taught. And if you are a service-based practitioner, if you're a massage therapist, if you're a counselor, a therapist, if you're a teacher, right? If you're anybody in the space, a nurse, a doctor of giving and working with clients, you need to know how to protect your own energy, because we are out here in this world. Many of us are very empathic, so we feel very deeply. We take on other people's energy. And so it's important to, one, be aware of that, because you can't do anything about it if you're not aware. But then two, learn how to protect your own energy, so you're just not going out there, or not going out there, because some people will avoid certain things because they don't know how to protect their energy. They just feel so open and vulnerable. And so they will avoid certain things that really would be a benefit to them, but they just don't know how to handle it.
Mm, wow, wow, wow. And it sounds like you're touching on medicated children, um, prescribed, I don't know, conditions, um,
Mm,
medical conditions that doctors say children can't cope with without pharmaceutical drugs,
mm-hmm,
and just so many things. Um, for instance, I have a little brother who is ADHD, and it is
mm-hmm,
deeply, it affects me so much to know that he has to rely on um, that. I think it's a lie. I think he has more potential to know his strength and come into that and not be dependent, because there
mm-hmm,
are other effects that disrupt his, what is it called? Biochemistry.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So when you mention people don't believe in themselves, or they stop just at their limitations, it makes me think of that.
Mm. And everyone has their own personal, somebody else could hear that and think of something totally different, like what's going on in their worlds. And it's interesting that you bring up ADHD, because that, is really where like Reiki and meditation are amazing, just in training or retraining your brain how to relax and how to turn down, right? So you're not so all over the place. And it really is. It's a retraining. It's a programming.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I am an optimal breathologist, and breathing has saved my life,
Mm-hmm.
changed my life, and caused me to honor my body in a way that I would not have before, had I not understood that without the breath, everything else ceased to even matter.
Mm-hmm.
Oxidizing the body, staying hydrated, most importantly, breathing into your space is crucial. Most of us are shallow breathers.
Mm-hmm.
It also affects our ability to process and sort of hone that energy that may seem wild and uncontrollable, or a
Mm-hmm.
bit confusing or disorienting. Um, the breath, it is truly centering. Being on a plane, for instance, I have to travel for work.
Mm-hmm.
It can be neurotic, being around other people during a pandemic. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, some say claustrophobia, some, won't even fly.
Mm-hmm.
But just to be around that many people, knowing that, or not knowing, how you may or may not contract a disease that is killing people, is
Mm-hmm.
something in it of itself. And then the body responding to that, um, is interesting. I had to use the breath in that moment, that I thought I was either going to hyperventilate, or
Mm-hmm.
my body was going to shut down completely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but bringing in the breath opened
Yeah.
up for me the possibility too that I am okay. I am grounded. This is just a moment. And the revitalization of the breath
Mm-hmm.
brings one into recollection, excuse me, of their power, um, when the mind takes over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a proponent of mindfulness and meditation,
Mm-hmm.
also verbal affirmation here in the marketplace. We, as part of the podcast, have, for instance, work day affirmations, how to look forward to a good day at work,
Mm-hmm.
things that you can say to affirm your day.
Yeah. I always say that the important thing, I think that affirmations are an amazing tool. And one of the things that I make sure that my clients know is that while I love affirmations and they are powerful, affirmations alone don't work. And so one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing is not building a house on top of a quicksand. So affirmations can be powerful, but the first thing you really need to do is start to really look at those beliefs. Because if the affirmation is counter to what it is that you already really believe, it's not going to take root because you don't believe it. It sounds good, but you don't believe it. And so it's really looking at what are the beliefs about whatever it is that you're doing affirmations around. Let's get to the root of that. Let's clean that out. There's a discreation process for that, and then replace it with the affirmation. So now we're getting to the root of it, cleaning that out, letting it all go, and then replacing with the affirmation.
I love that. Make sure it's true, make sure it's honest, make sure it is authentic, make sure it is yours.
Yes.
Absolutely, I love that. Thank you, Avalaura.
You're welcome.
Well, we are coming to just about the end of our time here today. Um, Ava Laura, we are going into 2021. Did you have any news that you wanted to share before we depart?
Yeah. One of the things I do want to say, and I think is important as we go into 2021, right? 2020 is still here. We're still in 2020. And I know that there has been a lot of that sort of cancel culture, right? Like, oh, let's cancel 2020. I'm ready for 2021. 2020 has been like the worst year ever. And what I would say that while we are still here and we're still present with it, make sure that you really take this time to get to know yourself while we have this energy, right? While we aren't as distracted, while the world hasn't fully picked back up yet. Take this time for yourself. This is the busiest period that I've ever been because so many people have been more self reflective and realizing, like, wow, I need help. And I've been putting this off and I haven't created time. And so now let me do that now, and really making sure that you're learning the lessons of 2020 as we move forward into 2021. So don't write this year off. Don't write this experience off, but what can you learn? What are the lessons? How can you sit with this? How can you really work on your self-care and practice soulful self-care, as I always talk about it? And how can then you bring that into 2021 to make that such an impactful year for you?
I agree. Yes, yes, so much will and power in that. What are you going to do about your life? I love it. I love it.
Yes. I mean, 2020, truthfully, with everything, and I know people who have